Okay. So guys, last week we had seen this virtualization and also we had seen how to deploy WLC, right? So I hope those things were clear. If you guys have any queries, questions, let me know right now. Anything that you are confused or you have any queries, questions, you're free to ask right now. Okay, no questions. Fine. So last time we deployed our WLC on our, I guess on our ESXi, I deployed WLC, right? Let me check. Last time I had deployed a WLC, right? Okay. Uh, Wait, I had multiple WLCs, so I'm just I deleted all and I'm installing the new one, and I'll show you from beginning. Okay. Now understand what I'm doing is I'm taking a access of ESXi server from my base PC because they are in a same VLAN. They are in a same VLAN, right? And then by taking access on this ESXi, I'm going to deploy a WLC 8.0. Okay. So this is my ESXi. I have taken access. I'll select a server. Last time I had deployed, I deleted it right now. I'm deploying a new one. I'll come here and I'll go to OVF and I'll go to WLC. And I'll import it. I'll say next, next. I'll go with thin provision, next. These are the two adapters which are present on our WLC. I'll tell you what to do with this WLC adapters. Okay, let me just say finish right now. Let it import. Okay. Uh, I'll power it on. And here you can see it's on now. This will boot initially, it will boot. Okay, it will take some time. After booting, it will reboot once. After installation gets completed, it will reboot and press enter to get a console. After pressing enter, it will take some time to come up. You'll get the console. Guys, in our previous class, had we initialized our WLC like configuring username, password, those things? Had we done last time? Okay. Okay, now you can see here. Would you like to terminate auto installation? Yes, I would like to terminate. Okay, now from here, it's a manual configuration. It is asking you for a username. I'll give a username as an admin. I'll give a password capital C, small ISC 0123. Again, I'll repeat capital C, small ISC 0123. Okay, here it says a service interface IP address configuration. We have a service interface and we have a management interface. Okay, remember on our WLC, we have two major type of interfaces. On WLC, we'll have two major type of interfaces that we use. Okay, we have service interface and we have management interface. These are the two major types of interfaces, right? Now, both the interfaces can be used for management purpose. Okay, but a dedicated management interface is the management interface of your WLC. Service interface can be used for two purposes. Service interface can be used for management and data. Same, your management interface also can be used. My management interface also can be used for the management and data. Okay, but especially management interface is used for management purpose in a real time, and service interface will be used for data purposes. And the other purpose of these two interfaces are, in case if one interface is down, then we have the other interface for backup purpose. That's a intention. So in case if management interface is down, right, we have the service interface, or if we have a service interface down, then we have a management interface to take care of any other task. See, depends what task you are taking from management and what task you are taking from service. So I'll show you, like both the interfaces I can use for, you know, the management purpose, or I can use it for data purpose. Okay, so here it is asking you that are you going to use a service service interface? Then you have to configure IP address either through DHCP or statically. Let's say I want to configure it statically. Then what IP address I'll configure? Let's say just example 172.16.3. I'll configure, let's say 50 as an IP with the subnet mask 24. Give any IP that you have a reachability. After that, it is asking you for management interface. So for management interface, it's 10.11.11.135. Okay, subnet mask 24, and default router in my network. I'll configure a default router on this switch. This physical switch will configure it as a L3 We'll configure it as L3 switch, right? And in this L3 switch, I'm going to configure multiple interfaces. Let's say in my network, I have VLAN 10, I have a VLAN 20 and VLAN 30, right? VLAN 10 belongs to admin group, or you can say management group. VLAN 20 belongs to sales group, and VLAN 30 belongs to guests group. So in this way, I have three groups. My management is already in 10.11.11.0/24 subnet. Sales will be from 172.16.20.0/24 subnet, right? And my guest VLAN will be from 10.50.50.0/24 subnet. So remember, these are the three subnets which are present in my network, right? And on the switch, I'm going to create interfaces from each subnet. So I'll create interface VLAN. I'll create interface VLAN 10. Interface VLAN 10 with IP address as a 10.11.11.15. Again, I'll create interface VLAN 20 with the IP address 172.16. It's 20.15. Again, I'll create VLAN 30 interface with IP address 10.50.50.0.15. So these interfaces which I'll be creating on my switch will act like a gateway to my okay. So on a WLC, currently it is asking me that for management you have given this IP, what will be the default gateway? So remember here, for management VLAN, VLAN 10, we created the interface VLAN 10 with IP address 10.11.11.15. So this will take it as a gateway. We'll configure it on a switch. These configurations will be done on a switch. Okay. So right now, I'll give this IP address 10.11.11.15 as a gateway. Identifier VLAN tag, it is asking for management interface. For management interface, if someone wants to come, then do you want to check any tag? So currently we are into a VLAN 10, so I can put a VLAN 10 tag. Management interface, if any traffic comes, it will check VLAN tag 10 is there or not. Interface management number 1, put it there. My DHCP server IP, you remember, these IP addresses will also be used to configure a DHCP server on my switch itself, right? So these IP addresses will also act like a DHCP server. Okay. Now I'll configure 10.11.11.15 as a DHCP server for management. Virtual gateway IP, we aren't using any virtual gateway. So simply write any IP address. After that, it is asking you for mobility radio frequency group. So any group I can say, like CCIE group, this is my group name. It is asking you for SSID. Okay, so it's a set service identity or identifier. It's like we are setting the uh, our identity through which we are going to connect. Okay, so service set identifier it is. Okay, SSID means your service set identifier. So here you can write any SSIDs that you want. Now let me show you, like when you want to connect to a Wi-Fi, you see this name, right? This is basically called as your SSID, service set identifier, right? So I'll come here, I'll give service set identifier for admin group or for management is, let's say, CCIE AP Connect. This is my name. Now it says configure DHCP breach mode. I don't want. If you see anything capital letter written in a brackets, that capital will be taken priority compared to smaller one. Allow static IP address, say yes. Configure radio server, no. Enter a country. In a 2 letters we have to enter, so IN will indicate India. 802.11b network, do you want to enable? Yes, enable all these networks. 11A, yes. 11G, yes. Radio frequency, do you want to on? Yes. Do you want to configure Ntp server? I don't have any Ntp server, or else you can put it 10.11.11.15 your gateway as a Ntp server. Okay, you say yes here, and after that configure 10.11.11.15 your gateway as a Ntp server. The pool time minimum, it should be like 1 hour. Every 1 hour it should check the time from the Ntp server, right? So give minimum as a 1 hour, 3600 seconds. That's equals to 1 hour, right? Would you like to configure IPv4? No. Configurations are correct? Yes. So in this way you guys can configure and press enter. So your WLC will come up, right? Press enter. Let this WLC come up. Okay. So once you configure a WLC, and once your WLC is up, you are getting one information here. Enter username recover-config. Okay. This is one time only to reset a configuration to factory default. Now let's say if you feel you have done something mistake, or if you want to reset a WLC, right, then you can give this command. Instead of a username, you can type recover hyphen config. If you type this and press enter, it will go in the rebooting state, and it will reset whatever the configurations we have done till now. So it's just like we are resetting our entire WLC to a factory default. means how we got it in a beginning, same way it's reset it to the factory default. We will not have any type of IP addresses configured over here. Okay. So guys, did you understand this part? WLC, how would you do the auto installation, and how would you configure all the parameters, and how would you reset back to the factory default? Is that clear? Okay, guys, don't put private messages, direct message. Okay, put in a group. Okay, so your WLC is again to a same position where we have to configure all the parameters from beginning. Okay, now this time, before I configure a WLC from a beginning, I want to get an access to this switch. Okay, so let me get an access to this physical switch first of all. I'll share one document with you guys in which I have given all the configurations step by step. You can follow those steps. So wireless controller access point configuration. First of all, you guys are going to do a physical switch configuration in which you will decide where exactly you guys are connected, right? So as I told you, like first thing what I'll be doing, my management PC where I'm connected, that I'll put in a VLAN 10, and my ESXi server where I'm connected, I'll put in a VLAN 10, right? So currently my PC is connected on VLAN 7, right? And let me get an access to a switch first of all. To get an access to a switch, I need a terminal server. Wait guys, let me configure certain IP addresses. This is my internet accessible IP. So let me configure other IP addresses also statically. These IP addresses are not of your uses. Now here I'm going to add 10.11.11. Okay, wait. This Wi-Fi is for my internet connection. I'm not going to modify anything. Let it be. Actually, I'm connected to your lab through my physical adapter, in which I can see I have these IP addresses, right? In the same adapter, I'll configure one more IP to connect my terminal server. So 20.11.11.5 I'll configure, because my terminal server IP address is .50. I'll try to get an access to a terminal server 20.11.11.50. Okay, I have the connectivity. So now I'm trying to get an access to a terminal server. I'll log in with username CCIE, password Cisco. I got an access. So hosts, I'll get into my switch 1, clear line 07. And I'll get an access to S1. Okay. I got an access to a switch. On a switch, let me check. So IP interface brief. Okay. In this switch, whatever the interfaces I have, let me delete it. No VLAN 10. Wait few minutes, guys. Pre-configured configurations, let me delete it. I lost an access to a terminal server. Just a minute, guys. Hold on. I'm rebooting a switch, guys. Okay, so just wait for a few minutes. I lost a connectivity to all the devices right now. So wait and watch. So what we are going to do, meanwhile, let's make a configuration that we'll do on a switch. You can see, like we'll configure L3 configurations, like we'll give a IP routing command, and then we are going to configure a VLAN interface IP address with .15. That's a interface VLAN 10, interface VLAN 20, interface VLAN 50, right? We'll configure all these things like a VLAN interfaces for each subnet. You can see the subnet. As I told you, I'll have an interface IP address from each VLAN, right? So that I can make this L3 switch as a DHCP server. See, after configuring a IP address from each VLANs, I'll be able to configure a DHCP for each subnet, right? So I'll configure a DHCP for VLAN 10. Also, I'll configure a DHCP for VLAN 20, and I'll configure a DHCP for VLAN 50. So based on these IP addresses, I'll configure a DHCP of all these three subnets. Guys, are you getting my point, what I'm saying? This part, are you understanding why I have to configure switch as a L3 switch and why I have to configure the IP addresses to the VLAN interfaces so that I can configure a DHCP from the respective subnet? Is that clear? Online guys, are you understanding what I'm saying? Not in WLC. WLC, you will tell who is a DHCP server. In a WLC, you will tell who is a DHCP server. But you have to take a help of any DHCP server, right? WLC will act like a helper to the clients. But the DHCP will not act like a real DHCP. Okay. So we'll configure a real DHCP on a switch. Okay. Fine. So here you can see in this configuration I have given DHCP configuration. Before I did a DHCP configuration, I excluded some IP addresses which were in a use. I don't want any IP address to conflict which will be assigned from a DHCP. So remember, you need to exclude those addresses. You can exclude the IP addresses in a range like till 135. Here you can understand my WLC IP. I have configured .135. Right, that's my WLC IP that I have configured. So why don't I exclude an IP address till 150? Right, so it's up to you. You can manually exclude the addresses. After that, I'm configuring a DHCP pool. This is a name like VLAN pool, VLAN 10 pool. It's just a name. Inside this, we have given a network, default router, and there is one more, the extra thing that you should know. It's like option 43 IP. And here, what's my WLC IP? 135. I'll mention 135. And I'll mention my DNS server if I have in a network. If I don't have, I'll remove a DNS server IP. It's my choice. So you remember, in a DHCP configuration, I have mentioned one option 43 IP. Okay, what does this option 43 IP mean? Whenever your AP access point, you understand, whenever your access point will receive an IP address from a DHCP, let's say on a switch, I'll configure AP. This is my AP. When this AP receives an IP address from a DHCP, right? So your AP should know who is your WLC. From DHCP, it should know. So how would your AP know that who is your WLC and what's an IP address? By option 43, IP address, whatever you'll be mentioning under a DHCP, that will tell your AP that this is your WLC IP. So that's your DHCP configuration. So in my management VLAN, my AP will be connected. That's why under the management DHCP, only I have mentioned option 43, not in others. So similarly, guys, if you have to exclude any addresses from the cells VLAN, you can exclude it. I've written a DHCP pool name, added a DHCP subnet, default router. You can see here all those IP addresses .15 I have mentioned. These all are my gateway IP addresses on a switch. Okay, VLAN interface IP addresses. And you can see VLAN 50 DHCP, right? DNS, if you don't have, you can simply remove it. It's up to you. If you have any DNS, you can configure, or else you can leave it. Okay. So guys, tell me one thing. Is this a DHCP configuration clear to you till this point? All of you? Is this DHCP configuration clear? Okay. And this interfaces configuration is also clear, right? Okay, I'll copy all these configurations. Okay, I'll take these configurations. Just a minute, guys. Let me see why I'm not able to ping. Wait, guys, my switch ports are not turning on. It's red itself. Okay, give me 2 minutes. I'll bring a console cable and then I'll connect. Okay, just a minute, guys. Some configurations are altered. This port number 5 on which my ESXi is connected, port number 7 on which my PC is connected, port number on which my terminal server is connected, and port number 9 where my AP is connected. These all should be in a VLAN 10. Okay. So guys, let me do one thing. I'll take interface range where my server is connected, PC, terminal server, and my AP. I'll say switch port, mode access, switch port access, VLAN 10. Right, VLAN 10 was not present, it got deleted actually. Okay. Got deleted that time. So that was an issue. Okay. And if you say switch port directly host, if you say, it will enable the port fast as well. Okay. Okay, now wait 2 minutes. I guess I'll get all the access now. This was a direct connection I had done. Just 2 minutes. Okay. Now everything is fine. So guys, now understand. Let me check if there is pre-existing DHCP, then I'll delete it. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll delete my existing DHCPs, whatever I have. Just to show you guys from the scratch, I'm doing all this stuff. Okay, so I don't have any DHCPs. Okay, now see from beginning. These interfaces, this trunk one I'll show you. I'll tell you about the trunk part. First of all, understand we'll configure a switch as a L3 switch by giving IP routing. We'll configure VLAN interfaces for 3 VLANs. I'll configure these IP addresses to the interface and then I'll configure these DHCPs for each VLANs. Okay, once this is done, we'll check so IP interface brief. You guys can see I have a VLAN 10, VLAN 20, VLAN 50. And these three VLANs are going to act like a gateway for each subnet. And from each subnet, so running section D HCP, we configured. So I can see, first of all, we have excluded the addresses from each subnet if required. And after that, we have created the VLAN 10, 20, and the 50. Okay, here I have mentioned 50 as a guest VLAN. Let me write it 50. It's a guest VLAN 50, not 30. Guest VLAN 50. So take it as a guest VLAN 50. 50. Okay. So now we have a DHCP, we have a gateway, right? And in a DHCP 10, I'm like DHCP VLAN pool 10, we have configured the option 43, which indicates that this is an WLC IP to whom? To the AP when it will be connecting. Okay. Now, once this is done, now we are into ESXi server. I'll come to console of a WLC. Now let's configure. Username admin, password will give as a capital C, small ISC 0123. Oh, sorry. It was a username asking me. Press Control C. Okay. Let me just reload it, guys. I made a mistake, so I'll just reload it. It is possible. I told you, right? It is possible through two different interfaces to get a WLC GUI from management interface, and also it's possible to get it from the service interface. Both the interfaces are possible to take a GUI. I'll show you to take a GUI. Wait, I'm actually I'll restart it. I'll take a console immediately and press enter. Yeah. Now I'll get a console and I'll configure a WLC. Let's configure a WLC first of all, then I'll show you how would you connect your WLC to the physical switch. Okay, that will be a challenge. So we'll first of all configure a WLC. After WLC is configured, then we have to see how this WLC is going to get connected to your switch, right? And how your AP will be connecting, that we'll see. First of all, let your WLC come up. Let's configure a WLC. I'll say, do you want to terminate auto installation? Say yes. Username I'll configure as a admin. Password capital C small ISC 0123, capital C small ISC 0123. Service interface IP. I told you we have two interfaces, service interface and management interface. Service interface also I want to use, so I'll configure static IP. Okay. See, this service interface and this management interface, these two interfaces cannot be in a same subnet. They has to be in a different subnet. So remember, here I'm going to configure an IP address from 172.16.3. Let's say I'll configure it as a 3.25, for example. And management interface, I'm going to configure it as a 10.11.11. I'll configure it as a 135. Okay, so these are the two IP addresses that I'm going to configure. So let me come here and configure a static IP. Here it is asking you, do you want to configure an IP address static or DHCP? If it is a static, type is static and type IP address 172.16.3.25, subnet mask 24, and management interface IP I'll configure 10.11.11.135, subnet mask 24. Gateway will be my switch IP 10.11.11.15. VLAN I'll put it to tag 10, interface number 1, DHCP address 10.11.11.15. Gateway and DHCP IP addresses are same. I'm not using gateway IP, but I need to configure a gateway IP. DHCP group I'll give CCIE group. SSID I'll say CCIE AP SSID, for example. DHCP bridging no. Static IP address allow yes. Radius configuration no. Country IN. Configure 11.B network, 11.A network, G network, yes. Radio frequency auto, yes. Ntp I'll make 10.11.11.15 as I'll configure yes and make 10.11.11.15 my DHCP to act like an Ntp server also. Minimum pool time seconds 1 hour. IPv6 no, I don't want to configure. These settings are correct. So once these are done, then your WLC will restart and come up. Press enter, let it come up.
Sir, one doubt. In switch side for VLAN 20, what range you have given, sir?
For VLAN 20, this is
Yeah.
an IP 172.16.20.0.
Okay, but here you have given service interface as 172.16.3.25.
No, I'm not configuring this service interface IP. I was thinking you might get confused. I'm not taking this service interface IP into cells. Okay. This is different subnet, this is different subnet. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready to log in. I'll log in on wireless controller, admin, password capital C, small ISC 0123, log in here. And you can see to check the interface IP addresses, you will say so interface summary. So what do you see here, guys? I can see management interface having the VLAN tag of a 20, right? And having an IP address as a 135, right? And service interface not having any VLAN tagging, it's not available itself. The VLAN tagging option you have available only with the management interface. Okay, that's why we use a management interface for management purpose. And service interface, I have this IP address. Okay, so we have to think first of all, how can I connect this management interface? How can I connect this management interface of my ESXi server to my switch? So let's think about it. So I need this management interface. I need this WLC to get connected on this particular switch, right? So what I'm doing is I'll come to ESXi server. In a ESXi server, you can see, come to networking. Under the networking, you can see I have a switch, virtual switch 0, right? I have created one more virtual switch. I have a virtual switch 1. I have a virtual switch 1. In this virtual switch, I'll come to properties, right? And you can see in this, okay, let me remove this, whatever I have. In this virtual switch, I'm going to create a trunk port, which will allow all the communications. So all the VLANs information. So under this, I'm creating one trunk, finish. And this trunk link, I'm going to assign it to my WLC, right? And understand this virtual switch 1 which I have connected is connected to the physical adapter number 2 of my ESXi server. In my ESXi server, you can see I have total 4 adapters. The first adapter is used for management server, which is connected to switch 0. I have the another adapter which is also connected to a switch 1. So these are the 2 switches and the 2 different adapters. So it's like you can assume this as a separate server and this as a separate server. So I have physically connected one cable on the VNet, I'm like VMNIC2, and I'm connecting that VMNIC2 to my physical switch at the port number F1/0/11. I'm connecting here. And I'll also make sure on the switch, this port will be trunk, because for management, it will go for a VLAN 10. On this switch, your MGMT tag is VLAN 10. But your WLC also should listen to the cells VLAN 20 and guests VLAN 50. So your one management adapter is going to listen multiple VLANs information. So on a switch also, I'm going to make it as a trunk. Okay. So let's go to a physical switch. In a physical switch, so interface status, you can see my 11 is connected with WLC and it is already made it as a trunk. So what is the command? I told you in this configuration, you guys can see there is one port as a trunk. So that's basically 11, which is created as a trunk port. So make it as a trunk, right? So your WLC is trunk and WLC interface. Now from this switch, I can pass the traffic of a VLAN 10 also for management purpose, and I can pass a traffic for 20 and a guest also, right? So that's why this interface is trunk. Now, if any traffic from VLAN tag 10 comes, then it will go to management IP. It will go to the control plane of a WLC. If any traffic, let's say from cells it comes, then it will go to cells, it will go to guest, it will go as a data VLAN, not as a management VLAN. So you understand, your WLC is going to act like a both the things. Service into, I'm like, it is going to act like a data as well as the management purpose. So right now, let's come to a switch. On a switch, I can see, so IP interface VLAN, so IP interface brief. You can see my VLAN 10 is having this IP, right? So from here, if I try to ping 10.11.11.15, sorry, if I try to ping 135, my WLC with the source as my VLAN 10, I should be able to ping. Okay, why I'm not able to ping? Because the reason here is, let's come to WLC. My WLC interface should be in trunk. So understand, your first adapter is a service interface and second adapter is the management interface. So I have to take this second interface in the trunk mode. So let me take trunk, which is connected to switch 1, port number 11. Now you can see we have a connectivity, right? Now my WLC, has the another adapter also, and this adapter, if you want to use it as a data and if you want to connect it to some other network, then you can take it. Like I want to take it for the separate management purpose, okay? Or let's say I'll come to my switch, sorry, I'll come to my server. In my server, I'll come to my switch 0. Let's say my service interface should be in a switch 0 in a different subnet. My subnet is 172.16. Right, 16.3.0 subnet. It is present in a virtual switch 0. So I can take one interface in a separate switch, another interface in a separate switch also I can take it. So here I can say, I have a multiple, I mean like, I have a multiple adapters over here, right? I can see multiple VLANs over here. So this is a management VLAN, right? So I'll take it is in a it in a management VLAN. So I'll come to a WLC, come here. I'll take this in a management VLAN. It's a separate switch, guys. I'll try to connect 172.16.3.25. Okay, wait. My physical adapter through which the traffic is going, that is not having an IP address. So come to physical adapter. Let me assign an IP address. 172.16.3. Let's say 45 as an IP address in my PC. And through this, I'll try to make a connectivity to my service interface. You can see service interface is also reachable and my management interface is also reachable. service interface and management interface as a 135. Both reachable. This is management interface and this is service interface. Both are reachable. Now, once both are reachable, now you guys can see, I'll try to get https:// 10.11.11.135. I'm getting access to a WLC GUI. I can use it for management purpose. Username admin, password capital C small ISC 0123. The same time, https:// 172.16.3.25. I also got the GUI access and I can log in from here also with the username admin, password capital C small ISC 0123. And I can see I'm logged in from both the IP addresses. So guys, am I clear with one thing, that service interface and the management interface both can be used for management purpose and for data communication purpose? Is that clear? How about others? Is that clear? Mohan, is that clear? Okay. If that is clear, then forget about this a data interface. I'm not going to use this data interface. Okay. You can assign any IP and you can just make a connectivity from your PC to check whether data interface can be used or not. For that purpose only, I had configured a your service interface, or else I don't have use of a service interface as of now. I'm ready with the management interface only. So here on a WLC, I have a management interface, right? This is management interface, and management interface on a switch, I have made it as a trunk, which is having a VLAN tag of 10. So right now you can see from a switch also, if I'm trying to ping, then I'm going with the VLAN 10. Now understand here, guys, my management interface is having a VLAN tag of a 10. This is having a VLAN tag of 10. This management interface is having a VLAN tag 10. VLAN tag as a 10. And I can see here inside the management interface, username admin, password capital C small ISC 0123. I'll say show interface summary, and I can see my VLAN tag for management interface is 10. This is an IP address which is statically configured, right? Now remember, guys, if I remove this tag of a VLAN 10, then what will happen? Any IP address coming from the tag 10, my PC is belonging to VLAN 10, right? My switch is having a VLAN 10 tag. Anyone reaching to a management interface with a VLAN tag 10 will not work. Let's see. So I'm going to show you how do you remove the tag of a VLAN 10. So for that, first of all, you have to disable all the WLAN services. So you have to say config. Remember, config is a keyword that is used for any changes on a WLC. So config WLAN, right? And you have to say disable all and then you'll make a changes. You'll say config interface VLAN management and give the tag as a 0, right? And you have to check. So interface summary, you can see your VLAN tag has been untagged, right? And you have to save the changes. Before saving the changes, you have to say config WLAN enable all. First of all, disable, then enable, then say save, enter, and say config. So this way you can save the configurations. So exit, right? So again, if you say so interface summary, you can say VLAN tag is untagged. Now from a physical switch, I'll try to ping a WLC with the tag of a VLAN 10, and you will see it's not working. This will not work because switch is sending a VLAN tag of a 10, but your WLC is not understanding that I need to accept the packet from a VLAN 10 for a management purpose. What your WLC is thinking, without tag, if you are coming, then I'll accept a packet. If tag coming, then I'll not accept a packet, right? Now again, if you guys have to put a tag, then how do you put a tag? How do you put a tag inside a management interface? Tell me guys, how would you put a tag inside the management interface of a WLC? Tell me.
Again, we need to shut that interface, I guess. Disable all.
First of all, we have to disable all services, right? Correct. So see, if I directly try to go, then what happens? If I directly go to the configure management interface with the VLAN 10, what does it say? Request failed. Active WLAN using interface, disable WLAN first, right? So what you have to say? Disable all, then give the tag 10, then you have to enable all, then save, config, check the interface, and you can see it's present. Once it is done, now what we'll do, we'll try to check. So once it is done, then we'll go to the switch and we'll try to ping now. Now you can see you are able to ping, right? My PC is also connected to the physical switch 7, port number 7, and port number 7 also belongs to VLAN 10. So from the PC, if I'll try to put, since this interface is trunk, it will carry all the VLANs information. When it will go to the WLC will find there is a traffic coming from the VLAN tag 10. So it will make a reachability to the WLC. So this is my base PC. Here, if I try to ping WLC, I can see I'm able to ping. Okay. So this is how we configure a WLC. Okay. Now WLC configuration part is done. Okay. After getting a GUI, you guys can configure the WLC from a GUI. Now this is a GUI part. Now let's understand. Let me refresh the page of a WLC. In a WLC, we have different tabs: monitor, VLAN, controller, wireless, security management, command, help, feedback. Directly from here also you can save the configuration. Directly from here you can ping any destination. Guys, please turn off your mic. From here you can log out. You can refresh the page. Now currently you can see your virtual WLC is supporting only 12 access points. So go to management part. In the management part, you can see we have software activation. Go to license. In a license, click here, and you have to apply. You have to activate the license. Okay, so let's say apply. It's already applied. EULA not accepted. Okay, EULA is just like the agreement. So agreement not accepted. Okay, come to licenses. Under the license evaluation mode, not accepted. After accepting the agreement in a evaluation mode, you can see, or having the license, it can maximum control up to 200 access points. Okay, so I guess this is my browser issue or what. Okay, let me get an access through Internet Explorer. Admin password capital C small I S is 0123. I got an access. I'll go to management. I'll go to software activation license evaluation mode. Now you can see this option was not coming in that browser. That was a browser compatibility error. Select a priority to high, set priority, say okay. It gives you agreement, accept it and apply it. After doing this, you guys can see now your WLC can manage up to 200 APs, right? So this is how initially WLC you'll configure. You remember guys, while doing a WLC CLI configuration, we configured a WLAN. We had configured the management profile, a group name as a CCIE AP SSID, and WLAN SSID we configured as a CCIE AP, right? So you can see it from here. And we configured, if you come to controller here, in a controller, if you click on interfaces, you can see these are the three interfaces which we had configured: management, service port, and interface, virtual gateway, which we are not using, right? And if you see your WLC name is currently Cisco, something like that. So if you want a WLC underscore CCIE to write, if you apply, it won't accept it. It might show you some error. If not shown, then fine. Might be. Okay, that option is not there. In a new WLC, you might get an error to configure a IP address of of a DNS server. Okay, if you get that error, then you will get somewhere here you'll get an IP address to configure a DNS server IP. Configure a DNS server IP, automatically you'll get your WLC name changed. So right now you can see your WLC name has been changed. Under the WLAN, I can see there is a WLAN configured. I mean, like SSID configured for management, right? If you click here, you can see this is currently used for which interface? Used for management interface. And where is management interface? You can see under the controller, under the interface, this is management interface belonging to 10.11.11.135. And this management interface is used with SSID, CCIE AP, and I can see here CCIE AP, right? Used with the management interface. Right now, I don't have AP connected with a WLC, or else I would be able to see this SSID, CCIE AP SSID. Okay, I would see here reflected. Okay, it is not showing because AP is not configured. So now WLC part is done, WLC configuration is done. Now we'll see AP, how to configure. After that, we'll join AP with the WLC. will release a SSID for management, sales, and a guest. Okay, guys, take a 5 minutes of break, then again we'll continue. Today we have to finish it up. Okay, is this clear, guys? WLC configuration part, is that clear right now, whatever I said? Okay, take a 5 minutes break, again we'll continue. Okay, guys, can you hear me? Okay. So now it's time to configure a AP. You always understand AP is a zero config device, and this zero config device is always, you know, it's always ready to get integrated with the WLC, right? And once AP gets reflected on the WLC, WLC can control and configure anything on AP. So first thing, this AP where I have is actually I need to put it into a VLAN 10, so that the AP will able to receive an IP address from a DHCP, and it will make a connectivity with the VLAN 10. So I'll put this AP in a VLAN 10, right? In a VLAN 10, and from VLAN 10, it should receive an IP address. Okay, VLAN 10 means VLAN 10 DHCP we have here on the switch, right? VLAN 10 DHCP we have, and from here it should receive an IP address from a VLAN 10. And when it receives an IP address from a VLAN 10, then from VLAN 10 to VLAN 10, it should get an connectivity. Okay, this is how it should happen. So now what we'll do, we'll come to switch, and on a switch, so interface status, and you can see my AP is connected inside a VLAN 10. I'll try to get a console. So my console is here. What is option 43 is not present in switch? It is there, right? So running section DHCP. Inside a DHCP, I have mentioned option 43. That is when when AP will receive an IP address from this subnet, it will understand option 43 means this IP address is an IP address of a WLC. Correct. It will query for a WLC. I have mentioned a WLC IP, right? Your AP will come to know what's a WLC IP. In a DHCP, I have told. Okay. So I'll try to get an access to a AP console. So AP console, I can see what's up. I'll try to say clear line 09. I'll come to AP. AP_1. Clear line 08. And I'll try to come to AP. I can see I got an AP access. Username, I'll give a username Cisco, password capital C small I C O Cisco. See, my AP username is by default Cisco with the password capital C small I C O Cisco. Okay. So once I log in here, if you want to reset your AP, enable capital CISCO Cisco. And if you want to enable your, if you want to reset your AP, you can say clear cap WAP private config and clear LWAP private config. LWAP private config. And I'll say a reboot. Reload. I don't want to save the configuration reboot. So I resetted my AP and my AP will come up. My AP is already in a VLAN 10. So from VLAN 10, as I told you, my AP is by default designed to receive an IP address from the DHCP. So it acts like a DHCP client. So DHCP client, when it receives an IP address from the DHCP VLAN 10, so my AP and WLC will be in the same VLAN and they can join. And for joining, they will use a protocol cap WAP, and they'll use this cap WAP to join the WLC. So you will see right now here, your WLC is booting up. It's coming. Let it come up. Now we'll log in with username Cisco, password capital C small I SCO Cisco. Okay, again Cisco, capital C small I SCO Cisco. Now you guys can see, I'll say enable capital C small I SCO Cisco. So IP interface brief, and you can see it has received an IP address from a VLAN 10 from a DHCP, and it can ping 10.11.11.135. Right, it can reach WLC. Right, and let's see every time your WLC will try to, your AP will try to request to join your WLC. AP has joined a controller WLC. Can you see here? You're getting all those messages. We have joined a WLC, right? So using a cap WAP protocol, can you see joined a WLC? Now come to WLC. And in a WLC, if you come here and see here, you can see one AP has detected. So come to AP, and this is an AP access point. If you want to save any name, let's say CCIE underscore AP, and I want to apply it, apply, and now come to WLC, AP console. Now you can see your, the changes has been applied from WLC to AP. Okay, your name has been changed. Now, whenever you guys come to AP, make sure your AP and WLC, if they are communicating through switch, then you'll make a AP mode as a flex connect. This is very important, right? And make sure you will apply it. Now, after this, my task is to connect, to create interfaces for VLAN cells. Now I'll create an interface for cells, and I'll give the let's say VLAN tag as a 20. Press apply, right? And here I can say VLAN identifier 20, IP address 172.16.20.25. 20 is my subnet of VLAN. I'm like VLAN 20 cells, subnet mask 24. Gateway is my switch IP 1515. Right, my DHCP server IP address is also the gateway IP, the same IP. And after this, you can click on save. You can click on apply. Click on apply. Similarly, if you guys want to create an interface for guests, so create it for guests, VLAN tag 50, apply. IP address you can put from VLAN 50, let's say 10.50.50.25, subnet mask 24, gateway as a 15, apply. Once you see all these interfaces created here, guests, management, cells, come to WLAN, right? We'll create a SSID for each. So we'll create a SSID for cells, SSID. Give the SSID name. Okay, this is profile name, cells. And here I'll write cells SSID. Apply. Here you need to select which interface, cells interface, enable SSID, and configure a WAP as a security for a password. I want AES encryption. I want PSK, pre-shared key, as a Cisco to log in. Whenever through the Wi-Fi you'll try to log in, you'll give a password as a Cisco. So in this way, when you apply, right, same thing you guys can do for guests. So for guests, SSID, apply, enable, and I want to use guest interface security, not .1x, PSK, Cisco. So once you apply this, now your AP should release all the SSIDs through WLC. Okay. So if you click here, I must see. Can you see CCIE AP SSID, right? If I connect this, I'll get a IP address from VLAN 10. It will take some time, but it will come and it will show you. So guys, did you understand how to release the SSID through your AP? Am I clear, guys, to everyone? All this will come. Right now, if I turn off my Wi-Fi, then your internet will get disconnected. If I just turn off the Wi-Fi and turn it again, then everything will come up. Okay. So guys, I cannot connect to any SSIDs. You guys do this lab at your home. Or if you guys want to do this lab at networker's home, you can come. I'll give you the rack access, everything. You guys can do the lab. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm done with your class. Okay. See you. Take care. Is WLAN the VLAN ID? Should be same as a VLAN or anything will be okay. WLAN. You mean this WLAN, these numbers, these are not the VLAN tags. VLAN tags are configured here. Under the interface, when we configure, these are the VLAN tags. Okay. Okay then. See you guys. Take care. Okay, in same folder I'll upload where I have uploaded the videos, there I'll upload. Okay, you guys get it from there. No, next your WLC AP is done. Your wireless class and virtualization class is done. Okay, see you guys.